Ever since I was little, I hated cleaning up my room. And because of that, it was always messy. Still is. If only there were clean up your room bots that would swoop in while I was at school and clean up. I'd draw pictures of them, build them out of popsicle sticks, but they still weren't coming to life. My dad never told me they couldn't exist, just I'd have to start making something if I ever wanted my dream to come true. Building and designing big, complicated robots that do real things is really difficult and still way too hard for most kids. But the baby steps, the building blocks for making these, and all sorts of other stuff, is something that we can all do. I'd like to propose that our place in the puzzle is to use technology around us to communicate ideas, knowledge, and the know-how to teach this to other kids. I think the best way towards this, to inspire and ignite their imaginations, is by making things.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dee-da. Sylvia, super awesome mini maker show! Yeah! Welcome to Sylvia Super Awesome Mini Maker Show. On this episode, we'll teach you how to clone your own toys. Crazy Putty, Squishy Circuits, super simple copper etching, alarmingly awesome monochrome clock kit, soft circuitry, awesome mini POV kit from Adafruit. What do I do with my Arduino? Super simple screen printing. Make your own groovy lava lamp. No heat required. Allowing the ink to seep through the holes only where it's needed, reproducing your design wherever you want, again and again. With other elements, like old curmudgeon oxygen, they don't like to share their electrons much, making them great electric insulators, keeping any charge from moving freely to other atoms.
Get off my lawn!
Hey, fine.
Dragging copper atoms and their free electrons.
2 or more colors using multiple lined up screens. Or even pop up secret ninja faces. Hi-ya! Let's go! To get the whole picture, all we have to do is move the slice to the next position in space at the right time, and our brains do the rest of the work by piecing the whole picture together from the after images. And that's persistence of vision. I love brains. Brains. Molecules love to stick to other polar molecules.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Okay, let's go.
5 volts, move in, drop to 0, spring back, again and again. When you do this really quickly, you get sound. By using the tone function on the Arduino, it gives the speaker a square wave at the speed we give it, in hertz. That's all for this episode. Have fun, never stop learning, keep trying if something fails, experiment with your designs, respect your soldering iron, don't be afraid to try new things, experiment with different types of programs or games, maybe try and write your own, be sure and experiment with different types of colors, draw mix ratios, show your friends, experiment with different types of metal, be safe, bring your projects to the next level, and get out of there and make something!
Yeah.
The world of making is distant to some kids. They have no idea how making powers the world, from architects to farmers to engineers. People without access to stores in modern civilization live off of making their own things. The world of making is amazing, but how do you teach that stuff to kids in a way that keeps them interested while actually getting something made? One piece of inspiration for me has been Maker Faire. In May of 2006, when I was almost 5 years old, something amazing was happening in the South Bay of San Francisco. For the very first time ever, a group of inspired home tinkerers, crafters, professional welders, makers came together and put an event to show it all off. I was amazed. I don't really remember much there when I was 5, but I do remember things I saw there. A 10-foot-tall robotic dancing giraffe, a giant truck bellowing huge explosive fireballs, a swing that anyone could go on that was timed to spray water only when you were not under it, and kids, parents, and regular people enjoying themselves by making real things out of junk with duct tape and hot glue. Not necessarily useful or practical things, but they still made them together and they had fun doing it. As a kid, my dad was a tinkerer, making robotic kits, remote controlling his sister's phone line to disconnect if he wouldn't stop talking, or wiring the door to his room with flash units to temporarily blind trespassers. One time he even connected a joystick steering wheel and pedals to his RC car with hopes to hook up a wireless and a camera and a TV to drive it. Though after having kids, he'd pretty much given up the idea of making things. The project's either too complicated, dangerous, or time-consuming. After Maker Faire that day back in 2006, he told me, my and sister, we had no excuse not to anymore. When I turned 7, I built my very first electronic kit, a little sun-powered electric car called the Solarbotic Solar Speeder. My dad helped me learn how to solder with it, that I shouldn't be scared of this hot, dangerous tool, but to respect it. I didn't really know what he meant by respect, but I quickly learned not to touch the hot part after I burned my pinky finger and a tablecloth. I realized it's not a toy, but a tool for making awesome things. As my favorite Mythbuster, Adam Savage, says, failure is always an option. I ended up breaking the kit twice trying to build it, even though I did eventually get it working. It was fun and scary and frustrating, but I made something. By failing and pushing through the hard parts, I learned a whole lot. So really, it wasn't a failure at all. Moments like these are some of the best times you can have. By overcoming your own problems, only to win something so real and so personal at the end. However it's small, it feels huge and wonderful to you. Through my online show, I've tried to pass these feelings to thousands of kids and adults all over the world, and it seems to be doing something. Though my own teachers don't take much notice, I've now talked and met with teachers all over the U.S. who play the shows in class and work on projects together. As it turns out, learning through making things is a great way to keep our constantly shifting attentions focused and students engaged in creating something useful, fun, or just plain awesome.
3, 2, 1.
One guy absolutely dedicated to learning through making and play is Gabriel Tully, co-founder of Brightworks School in San Francisco. Through hands-on projects and open challenges, kids go to class every day to learn with their hands and their imaginations, following an arc of discovery on a particular theme, like wind, wood, or electricity. During one of Gabriel's programs, students wanted to build a hand-powered car and had to design everything themselves. The first design almost worked, but it fell apart. They had to learn how to use tools to make levers and axles to convert back and forth hand motion into rotation through the wheels. They learned from their mistakes and kept building, eventually ending up with a car they could ride all over and even race. Another group dedicated to learning through play is the local gaming giant Valve Software in Bellevue. You know, the Portal guys. They recently came up with an educational program called Teach with Portals for educators, where students get to play their favorite game and learn about physics, math, and even language arts while jumping through gravity-bending portals and designing their own test chambers. Playing with things, having access to the building blocks, and having an easy way to put them together and see them work smoothly in front of your eyes. makes it possible to quickly learn the dynamics of cool, complicated things like terminal velocity, gravitational oscillations, inertia, and space-crazed computer cores.
Go into space. Let's go to space.
While we were at the Constructing Modern Knowledge teacher workshop this last summer, we met up with teachers who were building robots using open source technology like the MIT Scratch Visual Programming Interface with Legos. Teachers and students without any programming knowledge were creating logic, reactions, and behavior with motors, sensors, and simple interfaces, like this ukulele playing robot. It's supposed to be playing. It looks like that, but it's really cool. Or this rover that moved based on tweets about certain words. Another MIT project, the Makey, acts like a computer keyboard when conductive things like water, aluminum foil, or even bananas are touched, making it a perfect automatic interface to anything that uses a keyboard. When you use conductive ink or even pencil lead, you can paint or draw your own buttons and wires in any shape you want to have it, to control everything from video games to synthesizers. Oh, I can't say that. One group at CMK hadn't done anything with electronics before, but they ended up building a program with Scratch, the Makey, and some conductive ink on paper. When you touched the pads, it would send keystrokes to the computer, where a simple Scratch program interprets them and plays percussion instrument sounds like your own drum kit. Playing around with new things gets you places you never thought you could. These are great project starters, but some parents or teachers might be scared to try working with things like microcontrollers, woodworking, or chemicals, or anything else they don't know much about. Teachers, parents, or maybe just big brothers and sisters, think less that you're teaching how to work with wood or how electricity works. Think more that you're teaching kids how to learn how to use saws with wood properly, or how to discover the working rules of voltage and current and how to do it all safely. Give them the tools to find their own way through and guide them. Don't expect them to know everything or be able to answer every question perfectly. You're the guide and you're the student too. Kids, talk to your teachers. They're real people, and even though they have a lot going on, they still want to hear your feedback and ideas. Tell them what inspires you, what makes you want to keep trying, to not put a book down. Maybe your teacher will be inspired to bring play and making things into a classroom more often, or maybe try something they've never done before and see how it goes. Your education should be yours to help guide. Don't just sit and listen. Get out there and make something.